Tonight on LNN, the Trump team discussing plans for future border wall, and Rosie ODonnell wants martial law. All this and more on LNN Tonight. Breaking news tonight as the Trump team is discussing future plans for a border wall completion from New Mexico to the Gulf Coast. David, what have they been discussing?
Yeah, so apparently the Trump transition team is engaged in active discussions with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the Interior Department to begin planning a wall along the Mexican border. They're discussing what equipment should be used, what materials, what kind of labor force is required to get this done. They're also looking at possible environmental laws that Democrats could use against them and trying to find a way to skirt around it. Certain language they're talking about using in the Real ID Act that was passed in 2005. So, yeah, apparently he's going to follow through with this. He said he could wait, but he doesn't want to wait. I guess the big question is, will Mexico pay for this wall? Do you actually think Mexico's going to pay for the wall?
No, not. I don't think so. Especially when they have all the problems they're going through right now with the peso crashing and basically a revolution's going on there. So they're not going to pay for a wall even if they wanted to.
Right. Well, and one more thing I'll add. Well, first of all, they don't want to pay for the wall, and
Right.
secondly, I also heard an interesting argument how they could pay for the wall if the U.S. government stopped giving foreign aid to them, then that could be a way of paying for the wall, kind of a roundabout way. I don't think that's what Trump meant, but that could be spun around like Fox News or something to spin that around to make it work. So.
That's actually an interesting point. I'm actually not really against that. Like, I'm against the idea of a wall, but if they're not gonna just print the money out of thin air and actually move the money from foreign aid to actually pay for the wall, that at least they're paying for it.
That's a start.
Yeah, it's a start. Well, our second story tonight is both funny and sad at the same time, as a very controversial Rosie O'Donnell stated in a tweet that she wants martial law to prevent Trump from his inauguration. David, what on earth is wrong with these leftists who don't recognize Trump as their legal president?
Well, their butt hurt, Daniel. You need to be more sensitive. SJW. No, seriously. Yeah, apparently she tweeted, and I quote, I fully support imposing martial law, delaying the inauguration until Trump is cleared, in quotations, of all charges. So she wants President Obama to declare martial law. Now, martial law, one of the most famous instances was during the U.S. Civil War, during Southern Reconstruction, and also during World War II about Hawaii being held under martial law for the Japanese attacks on Pearl Harbor. So, first of all, Trump winning the election doesn't quite fit martial law unless you count a bunch of whiny liberals fussing about it. That's really it. So, yeah, bottom line, she hates Trump, and they've had this feud going on for several years now. He called her a fat pig during the debate, I think, and I think
Jeez.
she's just pissed off. So,
Yeah, and I'll add that she wrote that tweet in all caps, so it was she was even more mad when she was typing it, and she also added, "quote unquote." Seriously, this guy is gonna lead the free world, and then added in all caps, Donald Trump is mentally unstable, less than 3 weeks to stop him, America. And last but not least, she said Trump is a criminal. Now, I wonder if she would be advocating for the same thing if Clinton had won the election and was looking at facing charges for all that she's done.
no, no, of course not. Now, Rush Limbaugh might have, but not, no, Rosie
Yeah.
O'Donnell.
Yeah, all right. So our next story tonight, the House voted tonight 268 to 151 in favor of giving General James Mattis a needed waiver in order to be confirmed for his nomination as Secretary of Defense. David, was anyone really surprised about this?
Well, there was some controversy because you have to wait 7 years once you're out of the service to take a role of this nature because it's technically a civilian position and they don't want people too close to the military to do it. but they waived it, and I'm not very surprised by it because I've heard overwhelmingly good things about him, even from the left. And even if, I think Barack Obama is actually going to sign its exception as well. And just a personal note, I have a friend of mine who actually serves in the military. He actually served under General Mattis years ago. It was either Iraq or Afghanistan, and he was like one of his bodyguards.
Hmm.
And his brother told me he would die for that man. And that says a lot about a leader. And this guy I'm talking about is married with 3 kids. So
Wow.
that this guy demands a lot of respect. And I didn't really know a whole lot about him, but when I heard that from these people that I know very well, for me, I was sold right there personally. So
Yeah, that's amazing. The Senate also voted 81 to 17 on Thursday, so overwhelming support for him. And this waiver has only been granted once before to a man named George Marshall under President Truman. Senate Republicans are aiming to vote on Mattis' confirmation on January 20th. Well, Paul Ryan had a hilarious town hall on CNN last night. I honestly wonder if CNN packs the crowds for these types of events because the questions were just totally destroying Ryan. But David, how did you think Ryan did in his town hall?
well, honestly, I haven't really seen the town hall, unfortunately, but from what I've read and what I've heard about it, he seemed to really kind of just, he wasn't really as strong as aggressive as he is in more popular environments. I think he was trying to walk the line a little bit. And I could definitely see CNN putting plants in there to give him those gotcha questions and to push them on Trump, because I'm sure they're still pretty ticked off on the press conference fake news comment. So I think they may have been trying to take it on Ryan some, but I think he watched it a little more than me. So maybe you should give us more details on it.
Yeah, just to show you the type of questions he was getting, a single mom from Mexico who had illegally immigrated here asked Paul if he thought that she should be deported. And also, a man said Obamacare saved his life. And Ryan backed down from most of these questions, but Ryan did take a hard line on sanctuary cities. So it was interesting to see that. I only watched the highlights of the town hall. It wasn't anything really special, but Ryan certainly had some tough questions and he backed down from most of them. Some more funny news tonight as a man in Lebanon, Virginia decided to pay his DMV taxes with 300,000 pennies. Of course, the DMV gave him a hard time about this and apparently denied his FOIA request. What ended up happening with this, David?
Yeah, this guy he went out, got 300,000 pennies or $3,000 to pay taxes on his cars. He literally paid $1,000 just to ship it there or to get help moving it there in wheelbarrows to prove a point. Like he was trying to get direct phone numbers to the DMV, but he had issues because of the Freedom of the Information Act, like you said, the FOIA. And I guess he got pissed off about it. So he decided he's going to give them a bad day. And this is what he said, quote, if they're going to inconvenience me, then I was going to inconvenience them. And he said, I think the backbone to our republic and our democracy is open government and transparency in government and so on. Now, I get the point that, because I like when I want to call my state about tax or something, I can actually get somebody. And I like to be able to talk to a person that way I get confirmation about what's being said and what they want me to do. So I
Hmm.
can see how it's frustrating, but still kind of a douchebag move. Other poor people in the office.
I mean, I mean, pennies are legal U.S. currency. The DMV, it's the government. They're supposed to accept their own currency. But apparently, he hired 11 people and spent hours unrolling the pennies and putting them into his wheelbarrows, where he brought them to the DMV and paid his taxes. So I think he took out a lot of anger that a lot of people feel towards the DMV. I don't know anyone personally who likes the DMV. So It was pretty funny. The final story tonight, as an Arizona trooper was saved by an armed citizen who was driving by on the highway when he saw a Arizona trooper was being ambushed. The armed citizen acted quickly and ended up shooting the gunman who ambushed this trooper. This is just an amazing story, David. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, wonderful story. And now it's unfortunate that the trooper had to go through this. What happened was the trooper um, responded to gunshots in a vehicle that was pulled over on the side of the highway. Saw that a woman had been thrown from the vehicle, but a man ambushed him, shot him twice, could not move his right arm or shoulder, and then he started banging his head into the pavement, and he was crying for help because I think this guy was going to die if this man didn't come by. This random guy driving to California,
Hmm.
and he happened to have a gun on him, and he told the suspect to stop, and he wouldn't, so he shot him. Very brave thing. I mean, a lot of people would have done that, even if they did have a gun, because it's a very scary situation, and people aren't trained to handle that. Um, so great story, very brave.
Yeah, that's true. And I know in my state, almost everyone, except for if you get down in the metro areas where a lot of the liberals are, almost everyone carries guns in their car too. So I feel safe when I'm out on the road. Uh, Troopers should feel safe after this because citizens are going to be helping each other out and making sure that criminals like this guy don't do this sort of thing. A second motorist actually ended up stopping. He was from Scottsdale, and he went to the officer's car while this was happening and used his radio to call for help. All this took place 40 miles west of Phoenix on Interstate 10, so this was out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert. And if people hadn't stopped, this would not have ended very well. So that will do it tonight on LNN. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys on Monday.